to learn a skill called completing the square, and to get started with this we need to learn how to factor perfect squares and also solve an equation by using square roots. So first of all, let's factor this trinomial, which is x plus 5 times x plus 5. Number 2 is x minus 11 times x minus 11. And number 3, we need to use grouping, and we end up with 3x minus 2 times 3x minus 2. Now, each one of these solutions can be written more efficiently with x plus 5 quantity squared, x minus 11 quantity squared, and this quantity squared. Example 1. Here, let's solve the equation by finding the square root. So the first thing we do is we rewrite this trinomial as a binomial square, the square of a binomial, x minus 3 squared equals 25. Fortunately, each side is a perfect square, so we square root. The square cancels with the square root. We're left with the square root of 25, which we know that 5 times 5 is 25, but also negative 5 times negative 5 is 25. So we stack the plus and the minus sign. It's an efficient way to write two numbers, negative 5 and positive 5. So we can break it up into 5 comma negative 5 like this, so that when we add 3 to both sides to solve for x, we get 8 and negative 2, which is the solution set. Number 2, same process. As you can see, we take the square root of both sides. We get plus and minus 10. Add 12 to both sides. And our solution set is 22 and 2. Number 3, now this is the same trinomial from the do now, so we know that this trinomial can be factored to 3x minus 2 squared. Now when we take the square root of both sides, you'll notice that we have a negative sign under the radical. This should automatically remind you of Unit 2, which is radical expressions. And when we simplify the radical, we actually factor out the I, the imaginary number. So it's plus and minus I radical 3. When we add to the both sides, we get 2 plus or minus I radical 3. And finally, we need to get the x by itself, so we divide both sides by 3. The final expression answer is 2 plus or minus I radical 3 all over 3. Now you could also express your solution in a solution set, writing out the positive version, 2 plus I radical 3 over 3, and the negative version, 2 minus I radical 3 over 3. Number 4 is also interesting because when we square root both sides, we end up with radical plus and minus radical 45, which can be factored out simplified to 3 radical 5. Then when we subtract 4 from both sides to isolate the variable t, we end up with negative 4 plus or minus 3 radical 5, or it can be written, expanded out like this as a solution set. Another skill we learned about is finding the value of c that makes a perfect square trinomial. So we need to identify b, the coefficient of x. b is negative 24. We want to take half of it and then square it. So negative 12 squared is 144. So 144 is the value of c. So we get x squared minus 24x plus 144, which when you take this, when you factor, you end up with x minus 12 quantity squared. Final example is when b is odd. It's a little trickier because we're dealing with fractions. 7 over 2 squared is 49 over 4, so the trinomial is x squared plus 7x plus 49 over 4, which when we rewrite as a binomial square, we get x plus 7 halves squared. Best of luck to you.